in what can only be described as the most bizarrely voyeuristic moment since someone thought slow-motion beach running was cinema gold. Christ on a bike. Where'd I even begin with this 160-minute endurance test masquerading as entertainment? And aye, you heard that right, 160 minutes. That's nearly 3 hours of my life I'm never getting back. Watching Tom Cruise's increasingly gravity-defying face attempt to convince us he's still a spring chicken rather than a man approaching his bus pass years. The final reckoning. Too right it is, Tom. It's the final reckoning with Father Time, mate. And spoiler alert, gravity's winning. Growing your hair longer isn't fooling anyone. We can see your face slowly migrating towards your chest like the rest of us mere mortals. At least have the dignity to age gracefully instead of looking like you've been preserved in formaldehyde. Oh, and speaking of our ageless wonder, wasn't it just precious how Tom penned that lovely public letter, thanking everyone for their continued support and belief in cinema magic? Bless his little cotton socks. There he was, probably dictating it from his oxygen tent between takes, waxing lyrical about how humbled and grateful he is. I'm sure it had absolutely nothing to do with the damage control after half the audience walked out during the interminable opening sequence. No, it was pure altruism from a man who definitely doesn't have a team of publicists crafting every word to maintain his squeaky clean image. From a man who didn't blow his absolute top when people dared not wear two-face coverings during the last filming in lockdown. How wonderfully authentic and not at all calculated. I particularly enjoyed the bit where he thanked his amazing co-stars, you know, the ones he probably can't remember the names of without cue cards. Holy Toledo, this film is a right mess, especially at the beginning. It's like they've taken a perfectly serviceable action flick and run it through a blender operated by someone with ADHD. The opening sequence is more disjointed than a broken mannequin, relying on flashbacks and cutscenes like some sort of interactive video game designed for millennials who apparently can't remember what they had for breakfast, never mind yesterday's plot points. Clearly, they're pandering to the TikTok generation with their goldfish attention spans, jumping from shiny thing to shiny thing faster than you can say dopamine hit. Did I mention it's 160 minutes long? Because it bloody well is. Let's tick off the boxes on the Mission Implausible bingo card, shall we? World-ending disaster that only one man can stop. Check. That man being Ethan Hunt. Naturally. Check. Mega stunts that defy both physics and common sense. Check. Signature Tom Cruise running, because apparently he's the only person in Hollywood who knows how to run. Check. Loses a teammate, emotional manipulation engaged. Check. Everyone in a position of authority has ovaries. Check. What? Wait, what? Yeah, speaking of which, what fresh hell is this alternative universe where every single person in charge is a woman? I mean, I'm as misogynist as an ex-guy, but it's like they've created some sort of feminist fever dream where the patriarchy never existed. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for equality, but this feels about as subtle as a brick through a window. And then, in what can only be described as the most bizarrely voyeuristic moment since someone thought slow-motion beach running was cinema gold, we get a lingering close-up of Gracie's chest while she's supposedly giving Ethan mouth-to-mouth, because nothing says female empowerment like a gratuitous bosom shot during a rescue scene. The irony here is thicker than Scottish tablet. Of course, we couldn't complete this modern Hollywood checklist without our mandatory diverse casting. Enter random black character to, fill in for random black character who exited in the opening sequence. Well, it felt like the opening sequence. It was probably an hour into the movie. Anyway, he adds precisely absolutely nothing to either plot or the action, but ticks that all-important diversity box. His tokenism so transparent you could use it as a window. And naturally, the Russians are the bad guys again because, apparently we're still living in 1985. How refreshingly original. The film's main issue isn't just that it's longer than a Scottish winter, though Christ it is. It's just that it's trying to be far too clever for its own good. Pick a bloody plot and stick with it instead. We get some sort of multiverse of plots nonsense that makes less sense than a chocolate teapot. The stunts, while admittedly spectacular, they do drag on longer than a Sunday sermon, and implausible doesn't even begin to cover it. We've moved well beyond the realm of suspended disbelief here. We're right into full-blown fantasy territory. I've seen more realistic action sequences in cartoons, but what really got my goat was how bloody preachy the whole thing became. It's like being lectured by your well-meaning but insufferable auntie at Christmas dinner. We came for explosions and motorcycle chases, not a dissertation on modern geopolitics. And that ending monologue, what in the name of all that's holy was that supposed to be? I've heard more coherent rambling from drunk philosophers outside Glasgow pubs at closing time.
Are you staggering? Well, work it in for yourself, you know.
It went on longer than a politician's apology and made just about as much sense. Look, I get it. The Things Go Boom generation will probably lap up this like cats with cream. There's enough spectacle and noise to keep the easily entertained satisfied. But for those of us who appreciate a bit of coherence with our carnage, it's a frustrating watch. The film's not terrible, it's just exhaustingly overlong, unnecessarily convoluted, and about as subtle as a Saturday night in the Horseshoe Bar. I still have PTSD from that one. Tom Cruise still throws himself off buildings with the enthusiasm of a man half his age, which is either admirable or concerning, depending on your perspective. I'll give it 6 out of 10. It's Mission Impossible, not Mission Unbearable, but it's definitely Mission too bloody long. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll need to go for a wee lie down to recover my senses after that assault. I'm great.
A Grumpy Scot with a pint in hand, ripping through films like a one-man band. Snarky cinema where the burns are hot, honest reviews you'll never forgot. Oh hey, oh hey, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the Grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. Remakes to sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. From cringe remakes to sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. Snark so sharp, it'll cut through steel. Honesty that you can taste and feel. No fluff, no fuss, it's the Scottish creed. For brutal truth, the world does plead. Oh hey, oh hey, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With a smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the Grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. So grab your popcorn and duck for cover. It's cinema chats with a twist to discover. Snarky Scot with reviews that sting, a brutally honest movie rating king.